Look at my new toy. This is HTVRONT's Auto Heat Press 2. As the name implies, it is the second version of their auto heat press machine. I actually reviewed that same machine last year, so I'm intimately familiar with all of the pitfalls of the previous version of the machine and how the second version has then iterated and improved upon those. So in this video, I'm actually going to just go over all of the improvements that have been made to the second version of the auto heat press. So let's go over some of the key differences between the first version and the new version. One of the biggest issues cited by consumers with the first version of the auto heat press is you couldn't adjust the pressure. Some crafts like DTF or sublimation require less pressure. As opposed to my bag making habits and putting interfacing on everything, I need all the pressure I can get. The second and newest version will allow you to adjust the pressure. You can adjust between 50 and 170 pounds. Now mind you, I don't do a lot of like DTF and sublimation projects. Mostly what I use the heat press for is to attach interfacing to fabric for bag making. Because let me tell you, it is the most annoying aspect of bag making apart from cutting out the pattern pieces. So I honestly couldn't tell you if the pressure stuff is like super important or not, because I honestly never had a problem with it. But it's important to cite that because it was a top concern that was echoed not only by my viewers in comments, but also across other YouTube creators' videos. Another big improvement is the clearance space. The original has very little clearance from the tray to the heat plate. That meant if you had a thicker item like a hoodie or a sweatshirt, you'd have a little bit of trouble getting it into the heat press. But with version 2, they actually have 1.8 inches of clearance from the pad down here to the heat plate up here. That gives you plenty of room for putting in something like a hoodie. Though I will point out that you probably should have the hoodie go in opening this way, not with the hood going back and getting caught back here. Speaking of the tray, I don't know if you noticed, but in the first version, it just kind of slides out like that and easily slides back in, but it doesn't really kind of lock in place. Ooh, I'm shaking the table. Professional content creator. This tray is not only thicker and more durable, but it easily slides back and snaps into place. Now it doesn't lock down, which is actually kind of a good thing because I don't want to have to be fiddling with pressing a button and pulling it out. But it does snap firmly in place so that it's not going to move on you if you so happen to have a house that's on a slight tilt. Oddly specific. One improvement I think they really should call out on their website is how quiet it is. This sounded like a plane taking off while it was heating up. This one is so quiet I thought it was broken. On the original, the display is really small and the buttons are just right up here in the front. On the second version, they've moved the display to the top of the machine along with the buttons and additional buttons for adjusting pressure. And the screen is adjustable, which is pretty important if you're height challenged like me. Another little thing I'll point out, this one's a lot heavier. I can lift and move this one around just fine, although the tray does threaten to punch me in the gut every now and again. This one I needed help with, so just bear that in mind. Anyway, that's enough yammering. Why don't we do a really quick demonstration? So first off, even though it's technically off, the little power button does blink just like the other one. So I err on the side of caution and leave the darn thing unplugged. To truly power it on, you just press the power button. It's gonna automatically remember the previous settings that you had used. So for me, it's going right back to what I wanted to use for cotton canvas. And I just used their presets. Also, I realized I probably shouldn't casually lean on it while it's heating up to 350 degrees. Oh, sorry, I had the wrong setting. I forgot I was testing something at the 50-pound range last night. There's a joke in there somewhere. So now I'm using the automatic setting that's built into the machine for 320 degrees Fahrenheit, pressed at 20 seconds for basically 170 pounds of pressure. Now might be a good time to point out the machine does come with a Teflon sheet, though I tend to keep a bunch of these around because they don't last as long as you'd like. 4 minutes later, it's hit the temperature. The other thing I'll point out is I can leave my ceiling fan on and it's not cutting off. The first version of the AutoPress's sensors were a little sensitive. They're there for safety, and that's always a good thing. But my ceiling fan would trigger the not reaching temperature fast enough alerts. And let me tell you, ladies, when you're having a hot flash, you just don't want to run this thing without a ceiling fan. Or my giant floor fan that's my menopause buddy. Anyway, I'm going to be pressing 100% cotton canvas with Shape Flex, which is basically a woven interfacing that has glue on the back side of it. And the thing that sucks about interfacing, whether you're doing bags or garments, is you have to apply a lot of pressure so that those glue dots not only melt, but flatten out. Because it's not a sheet of glue, it's dots of glue. So without the pressure, it's not gonna flatten the glue and spread them out to close in the void around the glue dots. Now, for those who aren't aware, I'm just gonna pull out the tray and I'm gonna do a press of just the fabric first because it has wrinkles in it. And I don't want to tempt fate and try to put interfacing on wrinkly fabric. So I'm just gonna put that in place and slide that back. Again, noting that it needs to click in place. Then I just press the green R button and it's gonna go down. Ba-donk. Now, if I want to bring it up faster than the 20 seconds, I just press that R button again and it comes right up. Then I can pull that out and it's super flat. You'll note that I didn't use the Teflon sheet. That's because it's just cotton canvas and I'm not really worried about it getting singed or anything. If I was pressing vinyl, that would be different. And I don't mean heat transfer vinyl, I mean like bag vinyls, faux leathers. That's when I use this. Or if I have a larger sheet of interfacing and I've placed several pattern pieces along it, then I use that so that any of the excess glue transfers to the Teflon sheet, not to my heat plate. That's super important. Now I'm just gonna set the interfacing on there and smooth that out, always making sure that the glue dots are facing the fabric. Now I'll push that back in and hit go. Now the motor that's doing all the movement down and then back up still does make quite a bit of noise, but that's no different than the previous version of the machine. Now it's done, we can pull that out. And I'm gonna let that cool off over here. It's hot. Now, as an additional safety measure, the machine will cut off after 15 minutes of inactivity. The other machine did that as well. So thankfully, that kind of safety feature is basically carried over to the new version. And now that this is cooled off, I can basically pick at the edges. The corners are literally the worst thing when putting interfacing on anything. So if it's not coming up, we're good. Nope. Not moving one bit. Ba-da! Now, if you didn't see my original video that I did on the first version of the auto heat press last year, you're probably wondering, why the heck would I want something like this? Because when I press that green button, I have 20 seconds I can be doing something else in this room. And let me tell you, that adds up. Also, 15 inches by 15 inches is a heckadoodle a lot bigger than a tiny iron. So for me, when I'm trying to iron on interfacing to larger bag pieces, this is priceless. Thank you so much for sticking around and learning more about the improvements that have been made in version 2 of HTVRONT's auto heat press machine. Let me know your thoughts or any questions you might have using the comments section below the video. I'll also leave links to where you can find this and purchase it in the description. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and possibly subscribe to the channel, maybe. Think about it. Bye.